Police say the gunman, who is being held without bail on 7 counts of murder, has confessed to the horrific mass shooting in Highland Park, Illinois. Officials still don't know his motive, but say that he contemplated using his semi-automatic rifle, from which he had shot 83 rounds, into that parade in a second shooting in Madison, Wisconsin, where he drove after escaping the scene. We're also learning more about the victims of the shooting. Irina and Kevin McCarthy were attending the parade with their 2-year-old son, Aiden, who was found at the scene alone. Jackie Sondheim was a beloved member of her synagogue and a former preschool teacher. Stephen Strauss was a longtime Highland Park resident. Family members told the Chicago Tribune that the 88-year-old was energetic beyond his years. Nicholas Toledo hadn't wanted to go to the parade, but his family brought him because his disabilities meant that he couldn't be left alone. Eduardo Uvaldo went to the parade with his family, who attend every year. And Katie Goldstein, mourning her mother's death, had been looking to get out of the house and have some fun when she attended the parade. NBC's Lester Holt spoke to her daughter, who was with her when she was shot.
I told her that it was a shooter and that she had to run, so I started running with her, and we were next to each other. And he shot her in the chest, and she fell down, and I knew she was dead. So I just told her that I loved her, but I couldn't stop because he was still shooting everyone next to me. I got 22 years with her, and I got to have 22 years with the best mom in the world.
Beyond the nearly 40 people injured on Monday, many were left traumatized. NBC's Dasha Burns spoke to 11 and 9-year-old sisters.
Still scared of maybe some louder noises, when there was fireworks. That scared me, but scared.
I'm still scared of big noises, so police sirens and stuff.
I probably not gonna go to any more parades.
I just feel scared at now parades, thinking about this would happen again.
As the community grieves, we are learning more about how the gunman was able to legally obtain his weapons, despite police receiving a clear and present danger report on Robert Crimo after he threatened to kill family members in 2019. They weren't able to stop him from purchasing those weapons since his father had sponsored his request. The shooting has also highlighted the limitations of local gun control without a federal assault weapons ban. Though the weapon he used in Highland Park was banned in the city itself, he was able to obtain it elsewhere in Illinois. Joining me now, the mayor of Highland Park, Illinois, Mayor Nancy Rotering. Mayor Rotering, thank you so much for being here. As we put up another list of the people who died unnecessarily on July 4th, how is the city coping? How are family members coping? And how is that toddler who was left alone faring?
Thank you, Joy. The toddler is going to be in my heart for the rest of my life. That story came to me pretty soon after we all had sought shelter. I was getting texts with his picture and people saying, we have this baby, we don't know who he belongs to. First, we tried to call all the hospitals. Nobody was claiming him. And at that point, I had that sinking feeling that nobody was claiming him because they were no longer alive. He's with his grandparents. There's a GoFundMe that's been created for him. It just breaks my heart. This was a day that started off so joyfully. We hadn't had a parade for 2 years. We had several generations together to celebrate. The weather was perfect. It was an unbelievable feeling of everybody coming together. And it is just incomprehensible to me that somebody from our community would bring this sort of violence and evil to our streets. It just doesn't make sense. So how are we doing? We're sad. And we're furious. I've been walking around talking to people. I tell anybody who comes to me that I'm hugging them before we're talking, where people are crying. People are coming from all over the region. That's not just people from Highland Park, because I think a lot of people view us as their city. Most people sort of view the quintessential Midwestern town, and we're that on the 4th of July. I mean, it doesn't get more American. And then sadly, to have a mass shooting in the middle of it, unfortunately, is also making us very typically American.
Yeah, indeed. The Vice President Kamala Harris was in town, and you saw her, met up with her yesterday. And let me play a little bit of what she had to say.
We got to be smarter as a country in terms of who has access to what, and in particular assault weapons. And we got to take this stuff seriously as you are, because you have been forced to have to take it seriously. The whole nation should understand and have a level of empathy to understand that this can happen anywhere.
It has to be incredibly frustrating to have a city that has very strong gun safety laws, but they are trumped by the laws outside of your city, and then at a larger level by the Supreme Court essentially saying to every man a gun, but specifically that long guns, that assault-style rifles, because they are rifles, are essentially unregulated at all. Talk a little bit about the frustration of the fact that there are no existing gun laws that could have stopped this man from getting his firearm.
That's been my beef all along. Every single time we've heard about a mass shooting, it seems it's always prefaced by, and it was legally acquired. You know, the weapon was legally acquired. To me, that says that we've been failing to pass appropriate laws for years and years and years, since I don't know when, Sandy Hook. So let's talk about, we as a city passed our assault weapons ban in the wake of Sandy Hook because we felt we needed to make that statement. And the state of Illinois gave us a very small window in which to pass that law. And so we did. That window has shut, but let's be clear, it needs to be a national ban. There's nothing to stop anybody from going to Missouri or Indiana. Those are close enough places, picking up whatever they want and coming back into Illinois. So there can't be a patchwork. And anybody who will listen to me, I'm begging you, until this horror is in your front yard, you don't quite understand the magnitude of the carnage. And for poor Cassie Goldstein to know that her mother had already died and to have to take off and leave her lying in the street to save her own life. And we heard that story several times. My own husband was right there. He has seen things nobody should ever see. When Senator Duckworth came to town, she talked to us about how she had never heard sounds like that since she was in combat in Iraq. These are combat weapons. These are weapons built specifically to destroy large swaths of humanity rapidly. Why on earth those need to be available on the streets of America makes no sense to me, and I think we need to do something about it. I know we've been talking about it for decades. I don't know what it's going to take in this country for somebody to say enough is enough. But I'm here as the mayor of the middle of probably one of the most American cities in America, celebrating on America's birthday, saying, this doesn't get your attention. If Sandy Hook didn't get your attention, if Uvalde didn't get your attention, I don't know what you're talking about. And frankly, let's say mental health is an issue. It's an issue throughout this world. I'm kind of fed up with Mitch McConnell and his statement about, oh, we need to do more for mental health when the Republicans aren't funding mental health. We need to put more resources towards mental health services and help people get the help they need. But let's be clear, it's unique in America that you can also access an assault weapon and use that to show how you're feeling about the world.